are listening to a One Pint Stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast that tells the stories of craft beer in Minnesota and beyond. So kick back, relax, and grab a cold one. The show starts now. Hello, my name is Dan Bobian, and I write, produce, and host a One Pint Stand. I'm ecstatic that you're listening. This podcast has been a passion project of mine since 2016. This episode brings us out to 56 Brewing Company in Northeast Minneapolis. I sat down with Micah Godfrey, one of the owners of 56, and Zak Granata, the head brewer at 56. We talk about their beers, the community that they are trying to build in their tap room, and the vibrant and energetic Northeast Minneapolis beer scene. We also talked about the racist actions that former owner, who was forced out and is no longer affiliated with the brewery, did. Our conversation is a powerful one, and it's evident from both Micah and Zak that the staff is putting in the work to atone for the actions of that former owner. It's a fascinating and honest interview, and I think you will appreciate it. So let's head out to 56 Brewing Company for my beer chat with Micah and Zak. Cheers. Welcome to another on-location episode of a One Pint Stand. I'm your host, Dan Bobian. Today we are at 56 Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis, and I'm being joined by Micah and Zak. Thank you both for taking time out of your busy days and the sweltering humidity to sit down and talk beer with me. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of our conversation, if you could each say what your title is and what beer, if you remember, what beer got you really excited about craft?
Micah Godfrey. I'm one of the owners of 56. I'm kind of the builder on board, so I do all the build-outs, and we need benches, I build them. We need firewood, I cut it. Basically, do whatever needs to be done around here in a construction type of way, because I have another business that's a residential remodeler, so I do that. And the beer, probably Sierra Nevada. Way back in the day, it was always about big bottles of Pilsner or Kel at shows at First Ave, so they were the giant green bottles. But I still love a good Pilsner to this day.
Nice.
I'm Zak Granata. I'm the head brewer and chief production officer here at 56 Brewing. And let's see, the beer that got me into craft beer was either Summit Extra Pale Ale or Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Remember being on the lake in the summers and my brother sharing a couple of those with me, and that just kind of sparked my interest in a beer that had a bit more flavor than the traditional American lagers.
Then Red Hook came along. They threw a wrench in the game.
Oh, yeah. Yep, Red Hook.
Came
Remember those guys?
Yeah, I went to the Red Hook Brewery out in New Hampshire, like in 2016. They had so many different beers that they didn't package, and I thought it was all pretty good. I didn't realize their craft history, but yeah, that's an OG. I mean, so is Sierra Nevada. Right. I was in Asheville earlier this summer, and that was my last stop. Everybody joked around, so they said, "Are you going to go to the airport bar?" I'm like, "Oh, there is one," because the Asheville Regional Airport is super tiny, but like Sierra Nevada is 5 minutes away. Yep. So, like, you walk in, and there's, like, this big... It was like the baggage claim. All these suitcases lined up against the wall, and just people, like, walking around, having a beer, having some food before they get on their flight. So, yeah, Sierra Nevada is good. That was my first Oktoberfest of the year back on July 17th.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so seasonal creep. Gotta love it. All right, so we're at 56 in Northeast Minneapolis. Now, this was not your original location.
Yeah, we started over there, took over the site that Northgate initially had.
R.I.P. Northgate. They're one of my favorite breweries that is no longer.
And that facility's gone now. Now that Broken Clock has moved out. I saw they had auctioned off all the old equipment, and it seems like there's not going to be another new brewery moving into our old space, so RIP that space too.
Yeah, that was a real incubator for some cool craft brands. It was small. Was it always small? Because I think it.
It was just the one size footprint of a garage stall initially. We built our cooler out the side of it and threw a little lean-to on the outer edge.
Okay.
And then, in the winter it got really cold out there, to the point where our beer lines were always freezing.
Oh no.
But then Northgate took it over, or not Northgate, but Broken Clock took it over, and they expanded the premise quite a lot.
Yeah.
We initially thought of doing that, but opted for moving over here to Columbia.
Okay.
Instead of trying to put a bathroom in over there. So
okay.
It just made more sense for us to take over this old Mack truck repair shop and slowly expand.
I was going to ask, what did this used to be?
Yeah. We were just in the south side facing the community garden there initially, but as the space became available next to us, we built a large event space now called our barrel room.
Yeah.
And
this is really cool. How often do events get booked out here?
As often as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the summertime, it seems like it's almost every weekend or every other weekend there's a wedding or a private event or something going on.
Yeah, it's a great space for that. I got married here myself 2 years ago in September. So
nice. Yeah, it's I like anytime you've got barrels. I think that's just like a cool aesthetic.
It's a good backdrop.
Yeah. So for pictures and whatnot. Yeah, in Nebraska Brewing Company down in outside of Omaha, their barrel room is like, from floor to ceiling. They've got lights. It's just like you guys have here. It's just kind of a cool thing. I think that is the new thing, that if somebody's somebody's building a brewery, an event space is kind of a no-brainer, because it's got to be a nice revenue stream in addition to just like having an empty place where you store your cans.
Totally.
So this is you opened in 2014. So we're approaching the 9-year anniversary for 56. How many barrels of beer are we up to brewing in a year?
I think last year we were right around 1,900 barrels. And
okay.
We've kind of been at that since I started here January of 2020. So it's been a little bit flat over the past few years, due to the pandemic and all that.
Yeah.
So, we're close to 2,000. You got to break that number. So
yeah. And you guys have been in distribution for quite a while. I feel like I've seen your cans in liquor stores for many years.
Yeah, once we moved into this location, we ended up having which canning line company come in and help us out.
I think it was Lagersmith there for a long time. Then we used North Star Mobile Canning, who eventually was eaten up by Ironheart here in the past year. And then we got our own canning line back in December of last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so about 2,000 barrels. That puts you at a fairly decent size.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like on par? I know you said it's like pandemic kind of like maybe messed with the trajectory of growth that you were on, but is there a goal in mind that you have? I mean, if money's no option, how many barrels do you want to do in a year?
Well, obviously we want to make more. More beer out the doors, more profit. So, but I think we're comfortable at the level we're at with the new THC stuff we're putting out. I think production. I mean, you could speak more to this, Zach, but we're cranking out a lot, and you guys are working really hard back there to stay on top of all of the demands that we have going out the door. So
yeah, we've got a lot of products right now. I mean, we've got 3 core brands that we have in the 56 beer catalog, and then we do multiple one-offs per year. It used to be once a month. We were putting out a new one-off can. And then this new Acre brand has been our new THC line. We currently have 4 cores in that, so having 4 cores, 3 cores, and beer, it's stacking up.
Yeah.
I remember I did a calculation a while back before the whole THC thing, and I think if we were really clipping at the highest rate we could do at this brewery, I think it would be right around 6,000 barrels per year if we were to, with the equipment we have currently. So,
yeah.
Where would we put it all, though? I mean, our cooler is constantly...
Correct, yeah. Yep, no, it's Tetris in there all the time.
Tetris.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's always fun to chat with people about kind of like I think if you open up and things go well, I think a lot of times you grow faster than you think you were when you were initially doing your business plan, and then you're like, wow, yeah, where do we put all of it? Or people just need to drink more. Come on, folks.
Yep.
That wouldn't be a problem if we lived in San Diego and it was 75 degrees and sunny all the time, but we got pesky winter to contend with. When you think about the Minnesota craft beer community as a whole, how do you feel 56 Brewing fits into that, and kind of what does it bring to the overall Minnesota craft beer scene?
Well, we first and foremost have to make great beer, and I think we do get to check that box. The other side of it is that we're trying to kind of be a community center. So crafting community one beer at a time is our motto. We're trying to make sure everyone feels welcome and safe and included in our space. And so we're inviting people from all aspects of society into our tap room at all times. And hopefully that everyone walking through our doors feels very welcome. We're lucky to have great staff across the board, our tap tenders. Everyone's really excited to be part of this culture. It's a family, so we treat each other with great respect, and hopefully that's something that the patrons coming in feel part of. So
yeah, when it comes to the beers specifically, how do you describe the beers that you do? If somebody wasn't acquainted with 56, they were coming into the tap room for the first time, what sort of beers can they expect?
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep things definitely a broad spectrum across the board, but what you can always kind of come to expect here is a nice crispy lager, definitely a nice hazy IPA.
I'm drinking the crispy business right now.
Yes, sir.
It's very, very delicious.
Yeah, that is a fantastic Pilsner. That is one of my go-to shift beers for sure. But yeah, along with that, hazies for sure are big around here. Fruited sours as well are something we're known for. Our raspberry sour has been pretty popular. We just released our Fuzzy Little Pucker, which is the peach sour, back in July, which has flown. It's already almost gone, so that did really well. But definitely like to keep things really well rounded. We've got a lot of dads that come in here, so if we can keep our dad's basement beer on tap, that's always been a favorite. Right now it's gone, unfortunately. We got it in tank again, but that's a nice.
I'm guessing that's a lager.
Yep, nice kind of light amber lager with really great drinkability. So
I've had is it the Hewing Kolsch?
Hewing Kolsch.
That one's good too.
Another light one. Yeah,
for
sure.
I think when I came for it must have been your anniversary party earlier on in the late spring.
May 6th.
That. Yep. Yeah.
5, 6.
Had a couple of those. That was nice. A lot of people here that day. A lot of food trucks. A lot of music. That was fun. This is a nice, when a brewery does an event center or a quote unquote barrel room, I mean, it could be anywhere from sex dungeon to real nice event space. So I think you guys have are more towards the nice event space end of the spectrum. It's really cool. We got some pinball in here. There's a music stage, lots of tables, lots of barrels. If I were having some event, I would consider 56 as a possible location to have the party. I'll be turning 50 in 5 years. Maybe this is a place where my birthday spankings and enjoy some beers as well. So that could be fun. So I want to talk about have the beers that you have in the tap room. What are the beers that people can usually look forward to finding on the liquor store shelves?
Yeah, definitely. So those 3 core beers I mentioned are our Sippy Squeeze, which is a hazy IPA with Citra and Mosaic, 6% ABV. We've got our Raspberry Sour, which is 4.5% kettle sour with raspberry puree added. And then we also have our Lake Hopper, which is a West Coast IPA, 6.5% with, what do we got? Centennial, Simcoe, Eureka, and El Dorado in that one.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we're kind of IPA heavy on the mainstay core beers, but those are really what sell for us. Dad's Basement beer has been a big hit for us. People have really seemed to enjoy that beer. The market is definitely trending towards those lighter lagers.
Yeah.
People are really enjoying those, so Dad's Basement, Hewing Kolsch, those have been 2 really big hitters for us. And then here in the tap room, we have beers that you can't get out in stores. So I think the first beer you had was that Mr. Freeze, or Riddler versus Freeze, excuse me. That was a little play from our brewer Jules here. He's a very creative dude.
Oh, yeah.
He had Batman on the mind that day, I guess. So we had some Enigma hops, and we ended up getting some Cryo Nelson for that one. So yeah, it's fun to experiment with those smaller batches and have them be taproom only and kind of drive people.
It's really good. It's really balanced. A lot of times, session IPAs for me tend to be a little bit too astringent and bitter.
Sure.
I think it's tough to figure out like how much malt is too much malt when you want to keep the ABV down, but I really like the way the hops really kind of make it bright while still giving you that little bit of bitterness at the end. I'm guessing that's the Nelson Sauvin because that's a pretty bitter New Zealand hop.
That hop was packing a punch. I opened that hop bag when we were dry hopping, and it was insane. It smelled crazy. So, I think that beer is really nice. It's got a really big hop presence, but a light enough body that everything kind of dissipates and makes you want another sip of it, which is really what we shoot for in those beers.
Yeah. Have you noticed, has it been a challenge to keep up with the lager demand?
It is, for sure. I try, I suppose, to manage the yeast in accordance with that. So when I brew a lager, right now we've got Dad's in the tank, and I'll probably put Crispy after that, potentially another one-off lager or Dad's again, just to keep that lager yeast strain going as much as possible. So it helps to have a few lagers on tap because that just is way better for your yeast and your brewing. So
Right, yeah. What size brew house do you have?
It's a 3-vessel DME 20-barrel brew house, so it's got a mash lauter combo and then boil kettle whirlpool, and we've got 3 20-barrel fermenters and 4 40-barrel fermenters with 2 40-barrel bright tanks.
Okay, so that's a lot. That's how you get to 2,000 barrels. That's make a lot of beer. That's fun.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? Is there a beer style that, if you didn't have to worry about profitability or, what the sales team can push out, like what would you like to brew all the time?
I mean, one of the beers I'm most proud of is that Hewing Kolsch. I think that's the beer that I tend to bring home quite often. It's an everyday beer, whether it's wintertime or summertime for me, but I usually gravitate towards the newer IPAs because new hops are fun, and it's always fun to kind of see what they can do and kind of push the boundaries with those. So
yeah. You kind of mentioned it. You mentioned the THC. When it comes to things other than beer that you have available in the tap room, what are some things? Let's say somebody has either they can't do gluten or they're not doing alcohol. Are there NA options available for people who come into the tap room?
There absolutely are. So Acre is our THC product. We do have that available in 4 different flavors. We have non-alcohol options as well. We're sourcing hop water from Fair State Brewing Company. Those are delicious. If you haven't had them, you definitely should. Superior Switchel, I think, is another one we're serving. We have just a couple sodas as well in cans as well in the tap room. Kombucha.
And the gluten-free option, we always have a rotating seltzer of some sort as well. So,
correct.
Currently, what is that?
There's like a blackberry cherry on or something like that. We've got a mule seltzer.
Yeah, we did a special one for Pride this year down at Loring Park. It was what was it called? Lavender Haze. It was specific. That was when Taylor Swift was in town. Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Which was very popular down at that festival.
Oh, yeah. What has been, I know with THC beverages are exploding. How was that something when that became an option to do? Were you jumping in with both feet, or were you kind of like, let's wait and see how this plays out?
We had to get it right at first. I mean, we had to come out of the gates with a good marketing campaign and a great, we work with Matt Erickson for all of our labels and marketing stuff. So he's a genius in the field, wins awards for his designs oftentimes. So we're happy to have him on board. But Acre is a concept that we came up with as to set itself apart from the rest of what we're doing. And so far, so good with that. 4 different types. We just released a 10 milligram version. Yep. So.
Yeah, that was being brewed today, actually, the hibiscus berry. So I don't know if you smelled that when you came in. But
Oh, it smelled so good.
yeah, everything is
I smelled something when I came in, and it was like kind of like
Fruity.
very like fruity, aromatic. Yeah, okay.
Totally. Yeah, so all of those products, all of the Acre products are done on the brew house. We're using tea in a lot of them. So
Okay.
the citrus honey is made with citrus zest and honey, and that's basically it. The mango green tea is a mango green tea blend that I've sourced with honey as a sweetener.
Okay.
We've got
That's my favorite one. I like that one.
Mango green tea is quite good. Yeah, ginger lime is ginger root and lime puree, and then the hibiscus berry is a hibiscus and red berry blend of tea that I get as well, with just cane sugar as a sweetener. So
Okay.
So it's 5 milligrams of THC and then 5 of CBD in each of these as well. Otherwise, it's 10 in the
the
hibiscus
hibiscus
berry.
is the 10, and that's 10 milligrams THC and 10 CBD as well. So we're doing a 1-to-1 ratio on
Okay.
all those. Yeah.
Has it been a challenge? I mean, so when you're serving alcohol, it's usually pretty obvious to tell if somebody has had too much, and you're like, okay. Is it difficult in the tap room when you're selling THC beverages to kind of keep track?
We recently just came up with a new policy in order to keep those two streams separate. So if you're in our tap room sampling our Acre products, we'll put a stamp on your hand when you arrive, and that's the path you've chosen for the day.
Okay.
So that we don't have the liability of people drinking and alcohol and THC. It makes sense for us in a business wise, because then people are going to have their own chemical reaction happening in their bodies, obviously. But it's a way for us to differentiate, and hopefully it'll keep people from overindulging in both.
Yeah.
And especially for people that don't know what they're up to. If you're a new or a prolific user of those products, you'll know your limits. But for the newbies, we want to make sure that we're taking good care of you and not over-serving. So.
Right. But you can still purchase to go, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just consuming on site. It's
Okay.
got to be one or the other.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I know that's it's kind of a whole new ball game for a lot of people trying to figure that out. I know that lupulin, before I don't know when it was, end of July or beginning of August, when it kind of some of the new laws went into effect. And like before lupulin, they did a 50 milligram crowler, and I know at least one of their people were really excited about that and pushing the big. But now it's like, okay, yeah, 5-10 seems to be like the going.
That was the new legislation that passed. You can only have 2 servings in one container, and that's why it tops out at 10 milligrams.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you want to speak a little bit about kind of how that has affected revenue, demand, distribution? How has that changed when you meet with the sales team? What does that look like? Are you getting a ton of calls for more Acre? And how does it affect some of the other brands that you make and put out into distribution?
Yeah, it's definitely been a big shift in our production. We have had to change our one-off schedule for the beers of 56 in order to keep Acre products in stock. We also signed up with Burnix as well as Midwest Reserve as distributors for Acre, and so it's been tough to maintain inventory of that when those guys are buying 100 cases at a time, and sending it out to outstate Minnesota. And just finding the throughput on that has been tough as well, because we just started this in January. So trying to see what the numbers are and where it's going and how it's going as a consistent number has been tough to hit.
Sure.
But it's good. It's more product out the door, which is, always a great thing for a wholesale brewery.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting how that is just really kind of changed the game a little bit.
Yeah, we had to shift our mentality as a brewery to be like, we're a beverage company now. We're going to produce a lot of this other product as well. But it's great that it's decriminalized. You know, this is a good step. You know, if you look at historically how, drug laws were used to punish people of color, you know, this is a good thing across the board. And I'm proud of Minnesota for having taken the initiative to, make some of this stuff, make right on the past and, expunging all the previous convictions and such. So, there's a really good thing about it. I think a lot of people were paranoid over the past as well, based on its illegality. So I feel like that's another good thing as a result. You know, if you're drinking alcohol too much, we all need to exercise caution when it comes to our health. And if this is a way for people to drink a little less and be able to take better care of themselves, then I'm all for the THC stuff taking a little bit more of that care.
Yeah. Do you think that that's kind of one of the happy, maybe unforeseen positives to come out of the THC being so prominent? Is it allows kind of people? I would imagine it's really hard to work in the beverage industry. There's a lot of access to alcohol. I think that I've read several articles that have been written in Good Beer Hunting about people who have really struggled with that close proximity to alcohol and the mental health challenges that go along with it. As a brewery owner, do you feel that there needs to be more thought put into kind of making sure that your staff is doing okay, and if there's signs of a struggle, do you feel like it's your responsibility to kind of reach out and help, or is it kind of like, well, hey, you're an adult, you can do your own thing? Where does that responsibility lie, and do you think about like, well, yeah, no, maybe the industry should be doing more for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe the industry needs to do more. We lost two. Now, there were former tap tenders that had worked for us in the past, but in the last year or two, two different guys that used to be tap tenders for us have lost their lives, and it's sad. And R.I.P. to Glenn and Scott, but it is absolutely our responsibility to try to find a way to help mentally, mental health-wise, and anyone in recovery. That's why we're trying to at least provide so many options, provide open space, and make sure that everyone in the community feels like they're welcome here. We're looking at possibly trying to do some kind of a friends grieving type event at some point in the future where we can, focus on those things. But that's why we try to do other things besides just having this be a brew hall. We try to host a 5K. We try to, we've had a lot of pop-up aerobics classes. We'll try to do some of that in the winter time when some of these outdoor aerobics classes will tend to want to find an indoor space in the winter, obviously. So we've done some of those things to try to make sure that we're not only, reaching those people, but also making sure that we're taking care of each other. But we need to do more. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, people struggling with mental health and chemical addiction, we don't want to overserve. We want to responsibly offer you really good beverages. And there's always that fine line, how do you gauge whether or not it's healthy or not? So.
Yeah, and I think that Good Beer Hunting article was a great article. What they said in that was very transparent, and I think a lot of it comes down to culture at your brewery and how staff interacts with their managers, how staff interacts with the owners of the company, and how staff acts with each other. And I sent that article out to the entire staff here, the entire 56 crew, and just said, hey, give this a read. Like, it's really good. I think we should start talking about these things more, because the more we talk about it, because it is right in front of our face every single day. I mean, you go into the bathroom, there's a poster in front of your face that, is like a beer, right? So, I mean, you can't really be here and not be in front of beer. And so acknowledging that and talking about the fact that it is a struggle for some people and we don't want to be supporting that type of culture is something important to do. It's a first step, at least, because, I do feel like this is kind of a new frontier that we just don't have the answer yet, but we need to start somewhere. And thankfully, there's been a huge sober curious culture kind of coming around. Dry January has gotten bigger and bigger. And we as a brewery have noticed that. We noticed sales definitely are not as big in January as they are even December or February. So there's got to be some type of response to, still be a part of this brewing community, but also foster a place that is, welcoming for people who are sober or who are maybe sober curious or maybe just trying to dial back their alcohol.
So I haven't heard the sober curious term before. What does that mean?
I've only seen it on Instagram, to be honest with you, but I believe it's people that are questioning their, intake of alcohol and maybe their relationship with alcohol.
Yeah. I think there's, there's the shift, I think, is happening in the last couple of years where, before, if you were questioning that, there was a weird negative context or maybe does this mean I have a problem? But I think now asking those questions is just more positive and just more normal. It's a lot of those things are being normalized, and I think it's important. Just because I think at the end of the day, we all want to be good humans. I mean, you're working, you own a business, you want to sell your products, but also I think if you get into craft beer, there's something inside of you that is either passionate about creating something to bring people together. Like you said, the statement. What was it? Building community.
Crafting community, one beer at a time.
It's painted on the wall. That's great. Beer can bring people together. And I think it's like the industry, I don't know if fair or not, I think the industry does bear responsibility and needs to take ownership of taking care of that and making sure the culture is safe for everybody. But that article and even a local writer did a piece on a couple people in the industry who are no longer in the industry for various reasons, but it was really eye-opening when you think about it, how if somebody wants to, I mean, as a brewer, you have to taste your beer. After tasting beer and shift is over, you're sitting at the bar, just kind of hanging out. It probably is second nature to have a beer. And then, if you are not, if you're an individual that doesn't know kind of how to turn that valve off, that can be really problematic. So I love to see that it's having those questions and maybe supporting somebody like that is happening more now in a positive way to try to change how this industry is. One of the things in that article was the job interview essentially turned into a drinking contest. How much can you pound and handle yourself? I think that's disgusting. I think it's horrible. Yeah. And so,
where is this job where you have?
I can't remember what brewery.
How do I apply?
Yeah, exactly. But that culture, and then that can lead to all sorts of other stuff. So, right. I think it's good. The long story short, I start talking and weave these stream of consciousness things here. But I'm happy that you have different options for different people, so that they can still feel like they're part of this community that you're building here, and still be safe and
Well, it goes beyond that. I mean, even people on the autism spectrum, we want to make sure that there are comfortable spaces for them to hang out in our tap room as well. It goes beyond. I think the DE&I committee at the Brewers Guild put out a video at one point that Ren Navarro is a Canadian educator, put a video out, and she was talking about all these really interesting ideas. But that was one of the points, was that if you have someone in your community, this is how you engage them. And you want to make sure that everyone that you're walking around seeing in your neighborhood feels like they can come through your door and feel welcomed and have a comfortable space. If the lights are too bright or if it's not, vibing correctly, and then some people won't be able to connect. And
right.
That's another important thing that we got to continually, be open to how our space might be perceived, and then make some adjustments based on the feedback you get from people. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think now's a good time to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the fact that you're located in Northeast Minneapolis. And, in Northeast Minneapolis, you can swing a dead cat and hit a bunch of breweries that are brewing some really great beer. We'll talk about what that's like and what are some of the fun things about that, and maybe some of the challenges. So you're listening to a One Pint Stand here at 56 Brewing. Cheers.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you're enjoying a One Pint Stand. My aim is to help spread the word about craft beer. Enjoying craft beer is a passion of mine, and I love chatting about it with other people. A One Pint Stand has a goal of helping breweries tell their stories. I love to get out in and beyond Minnesota to visit breweries, beer bars, and meet other interesting beer people. If you are also into those things, you probably want to keep tabs on the show. So go ahead and follow a One Pint Stand on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We would also appreciate any and all positive reviews on Spotify and iTunes to help make it easier for other craft beer listeners to find us. If you like reading about craft beer, I started my own blog, and all of my writing can be found at aonepintstand.com. After 8 years of writing as editor-in-chief at Beer Pluma, it was time for me to start my own blog. So make sure you check out the blog for some interesting craft beer content of the written variety. I truly appreciate you listening and taking time to enjoy our stories. Now, back to the show.
All right, we're back. You are listening to a One Pint Stand. We're recording on location in the Barrel Room at 56 Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis, and I have a full, delicious pour of crispy business in front of me, and now we're ready to keep talking. I am with Micah and Zak, one of the owners and the head brewer. Thanks, guys, for sitting down with me to talk beer. Before the break, we were talking about 56 Brewing, located in Northeast Minneapolis. A lot of interesting things happening in Northeast right now. I know that the 612, which was like kind of one of the original tap room places, was recently bought by a new owner, and they're going to rebrand that as a Irish beer-inspired place. You've got Dangerous Man. They were, for me, kind of like the epicenter of the Northeast craft beer world for a long while. They've got a production facility out there in the boonies, Maple Lake. So it's like, there's a lot of changes happening amidst the one constant with Northeast Minneapolis and beer being of exceptionally high quality. Is that intimidating? Knowing that there are, you've got Dangerous Man, Fair State, Falling Knife, Insight. There's so many places. Broken Clock has a new, you're still neighbors, just like in another direction now. What is it? Just talk to me about being a brewery in Northeast Minneapolis.
Well, I grew up in Northeast, right up off Lowry and Johnson, right by Wyndham Park as a kid. So this place has been true to my heart my entire life. My grandparents actually met at, the park right by, not Loring Park. What's the one that's right by Elam Baptist Church? Logan Park, that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
So that's where they met when in the 1940s or something.
Okay.
So, yeah, Northeast is in my blood. So I'm glad to be part of this community still. I think within the beer community, though, we all do something different. And it's not like it's a competition like our beer's better than yours. It's like you make different beer. I love drinking Lupulin. I love drinking Arbiter. I love drinking Falling Knife. They're IPAs. They're hazies. Any hops they're messing with over there at Falling Knife are awesome. I go into all these breweries and I'm like, I want to drink it all. So you have to have little small pours of everything. But, that way you can love all your neighbors' beers, tell people what you really love and appreciate. It's the more the merrier. I don't think we have any real sense of competition,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like from a brewer's perspective, it's a great place to be in a brewery because you're surrounded by great beer and you can't really rest on your laurels and, sit back and watch because people are going to pass you by. So you can't just sit around and do nothing. You need to be inspired. You need to get out there. You need to make beer. You need to talk to other brewers, which is great because, like Micah said, it's not necessarily a competition. The brewing community is one of the closest knit communities you could ask for. I mean, if I have a mechanical issue, I contact Tom at Falling Knife, and I'm like, hey, Tom, my chiller is not working. Can you help me? And sure enough, he comes over and we drink beer, and he helps me fix my chiller. Like things like that are amazing, and it's cool when you see people that are good at doing things all in the same area because it only drives the product in a better direction. So
Yeah.
And you can ride your bike between them.
What do you say? Well, one thing I want to say is like when somebody comes and visits from out of town, invariably they always want to go to Surly. And I'm like, all right, okay, we'll go to Surly. But then the next 4 stops I get to pick. So we can go to Surly. But then I'm going to take you to some of my places that maybe you have heard of or maybe you haven't heard of. And invariably we wind up in Northeast. So it's not just like, the locals love it. It's like the word is out across the country about the Twin Cities that if you're going to go drink and if you've got like one day, people always like, oh, I'm going to be in Minneapolis for one day. Where do I go? Northeast. That's where you got to go. Is there a point where there will become too many breweries in Northeast? And if so, how close are we to that point?
Nowhere near it. If you look at saturation in some other places, San Diego or, places that are really well known for it, even there, I mean, you got to make great beer no matter what. But I don't think we're anywhere near being at a critical mass where people fall off just for having too many of them.
As far as taproom breweries go, you could have a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're community sourced, right? I mean, people go to the brewery that's closest to them, especially in the city. So if you can walk to that brewery from your house, it doesn't matter, like, if you only have 8 kegs in the back, people are going to come drink it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Who are some of, one of the big things of craft beer, there's an adage that, craft beer is 99% asshole free. Who are some of your favorite folks to kind of talk beer collaborations with, go hang out with, when you're not here having a shift beer? What tap rooms are you going to? You mentioned Tom from Falling Knife. Tom is like one of the nicest people. He is so giving. I've heard so many people in the industry say, Tom has helped me fix something. He has a background in, all sorts of like building stuff.
Yeah,
cooling. He's got his own business.
He works for Northland Mechanical, and they are probably one of the best mechanical shops in the city. We use them pretty much exclusively for anything mechanical we need around here. They're great dudes. I love those guys. And Tom is just an awesome dude. I've spent many hours with him talking beer and just talking about boilers and chillers, and he's amazing. Such a giving guy of knowledge and of beer, and he's awesome. I live out west now. I'm out in Maple Plain, Independence area, so I visit Back Channel from time to time. They're one of the closer breweries to my house these days. Josh Letty over there is a great dude. Yeah, so I mean, there's too many. I can keep talking.
Dickie Ladonia.
Oh, we just did a collab with those guys. Beers in Tank right now, set to release September 16th. So yeah, we just went back over to Ladonia a couple weeks ago to brew at their place. That's been an awesome time getting to know him, making new friends in the brewing industry.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so much fun, man. Such a cool collaborative effort. We've collabed with Elm Creek. Nick used to be the head brewer here before me.
Shout out to Nick.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Good man over there. They got a new production facility happening right now. They're just cranking the beer out, making awesome stuff. So
Okay.
yeah.
How long have you been in the industry?
This will
brewing,
be,
I suppose.
yeah, this is my 9th year.
Wow, okay.
Yep, I started at LTD Brewing in Hopkins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the first place I started. I kind of did a little bit of everything there. I was their first full-time hire, and
Okay.
so I did brewing, cellaring, tap room, deliveries, sales, everything. So I got a little bit burnt out after 3 years of doing all of the things, and found a job at Insight and focused on production brewing there.
Okay.
And that's where I met Jules, one of the brewers here now. And I spent 2 years there as a production brewer, and then found this job after that. So
Okay,
been
cool.
here. This is my 4th year here. Yeah, kind of taking my friends along the ride with me. I got Jules from Insight, and then Michael was at LTD with me. So
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. LTD, I mean, I teach out in Hopkins, so I've taught out there since 2002, but I used to coach soccer as well. That's where we'd go have our discussions about when we had to make cuts with the other coaches. We'd all go to LTD and
Yep.
have a little round table.
yeah, great community spot.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fun. So talking about, the Northeast beer scene, it's a lot of energy, a lot of different things, and I like the fact that you said something that really kind of resonated with me, whereas there's no competition, just everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Everybody's a little bit different. I like that synergy. One of the things that I notice about Northeast is sometimes if you're going, it's very rare you just stay at one brewery when they're in close proximity to each other. So there have been times where I've been out going to different places, and you see other people, the same groups of people, kind of on their own little brewery crawl, and I just think that's so cool. Thinking about way back when you were trying to decide on a location, were you looking other areas, or
It was always Northeast.
Okay.
Northeast was definitely part of what it had to be. And in fact, we named a lot of our initial names after Northeast. One of our first beers was the Lake Sandy Rye Ale, and that was named after a lake that's right over here in Columbia Golf Course. It's not a lake anymore. They filled it in. But as a kid, my grandparents would complain that so this was old folklore, that they had used the dredgings from making Lake of the Isles and filled in the lake over here in Northeast with it. So
funny.
Yeah, so their grandparents were really mad that they took our lake, those rich people. So anyway, yeah, Northeast is definitely part of the fabric and necessity for us. We hadn't thought about anywhere else.
Okay,
So.
Interesting. So one of the things, we've talked about, there's so many positives here. You've got great, the beer quality at 56 is solid. You're doing a lot of different things. You've got THC, seltzers, different things for different people to come in and feel like they're part of something. When a brewery has a hiccup or a bump in the road, typically that's associated with a drop in beer quality, or just all of a sudden they're a little lax in their quality assurance and things like that. And 56 went through a really dark period that was the result of a really negative thing, a personnel issue centered around racism. And without going back and dredging all of the particulars up, I guess I want to talk a little bit about, since that incident happened, the ownership structure has changed. the first question is, what did the remaining ownership learn from that racist incident?
We learned that we had to be intentional and adamantly anti-racist, and we owe it to our children to eradicate racism from our DNA. That's a big ask, considering just how ingrained and ubiquitous racism is in America, and I wish that wasn't the case, but it is very deeply there. We have to continue to hold ourselves to a higher standard, which means continually educating ourselves and learning more. I think a lot of American culture, half of us are trying to hide our heads in the sand, and the rest of us are trying to demand for changes for this structural system of racism that continues to propagate. We can't bury our heads in the sand. We have to come out very clearly against racism. There is no other path in my mind whatsoever. So banning books, all these things are the wrong idea. We have an obligation to our children to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We need to sit down and we need to actually talk to other people to change the world for the better, because the kids are going to inherit something that's really messed up if we don't try to solve this problem. And that means, heading it face on. We got to change it. And that means, it's a journey. We can't expect change overnight, but it's one of those things that we have to challenge ourselves to continually learn. White privilege is real. It's insidious, and it's our job to tell each other that we need to do better than what we inherited and find a way to create a more equitable world for everyone. And I don't know what the answer is. I know I can, try to stand on a soapbox and tell everyone about it, but it's really important lesson. We have to read, educate ourselves, and work for that change.
Zach, when you heard about what happened, what went through your head?
Well, I had just started here January 1 of 2020, and the thing you're talking about happened in June of that year, shortly after George Floyd was killed. And I was actually out of town on vacation, and somebody sent me an Instagram message asking about if this stuff about 56 is true, and I was like, I have no idea. And shortly after that, after learning about things that had transpired, myself, along with pretty much everyone else that worked at 56, decided to resign and not work for that person anymore until Micah and the other owners had basically forced that person out. And then we came back and we kind of built this place ground up with a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We went through a lot of DE&I training at that point to kind of realize our own biases that we had built in and really take a look at ourselves. Just as a company starting and going forward, we wanted to be completely different from what had happened and to reconcile as much as we could for that and make that a part of our DNA as a company. So,
and along that process, what were was the staff open to that? Was the learning and the kind of looking in the mirror and self-reflection about everybody's roles in a company and what you wanted 56 to be for yourselves, what you wanted 56 to be for others? What was that process like?
It was completely voluntary, to be honest, to come back. The current ownership here at 56 said to everyone, we completely understand if you don't want to be a part of this business anymore. This is the direction we want to go with this company now. If you want to be a part of it, we would love to have you. And I would say that it was everyone, pretty much 99% of the people signed back on and started that mission together. We worked with Rooted as our DE&I consultants for probably a good 6 months right away.
And continue to have a partnership with them.
Yep, for sure, and have started our own DE&I committee here at the brewery that's led by staff, and that's something that's continuous and ongoing, and we'll be learning for as long as we're here. So.
Yeah, it's not like a problem that you heal from. It's something you have to continually relearn and hold your feet to the fire and constantly, remind yourself of those lessons and try to actually be an agent of change, an ally to all the different people. And I think a lot of our partnerships since then we're not trying to toot our own horn. We're trying to move forward and be righteous. And that's, so we're not going to, trumpet all the different things we're doing, but we're making as much connection as possible. We're having, one of the first things that happened after that incident was we put a rainbow flag out front, and it hasn't come down since. So we want to make sure that everyone, all the way across the board in society, knows where we stand. Because there is, like Howard Zinn says, you can't be neutral on a moving bus.
Yeah. I think it's one thing, for a company or an entity to say we need to move forward. You did the training. You said the training is ongoing, which makes me happy. I mean, I'm an educator, and I know that big things. If you want to make a big change, it can't just happen overnight, and it can't just happen because somebody says they want it to happen. And it sounds to me like. With the staff that stayed on, and it sounds like it was a pretty high percentage of the staff that wanted to stay on and wants to be present and engaged in that work. I think that is hugely important. What are some of the explicit steps other than the training? What have you done with the staff to ensure that BIPOC patrons and their allies can feel safe in the taproom space? I think it's one thing to put up a flag, it's one thing to put up a sign. It's another thing to walk and live that life and be true to your word. And I think it is complicated. I mean,
we wrote our mission statement together as a group and said, this is what we stand for. We've got it hanging up in our tap room for all to come in and see. The intention has to be across the board. So, we'll share books with each other. We're sharing videos. We're sharing, that D&I committee has been meeting pretty much since. And, some of the books, I just finished a book by Angela Davis. That was awesome. We're passing some of these things around with each other. Ibram X. Kendi, Tanahashi Coates. There's a lot of different information out there for all of us to utilize and to learn these lessons. And that conversation continues. It's a journey. It's not like it's a destination. We have to continually walk down that path and help remind each other. But one of our employees here, Danielle, is on the D&I committee with the Brewers Guild now, helping to craft policy because of what we've been through. It's a valuable knowledge that I think could be useful to the rest of the brewing industry. So please reach out to us, come talk to us about what we've learned. We're, as with most people in the brewing community, we're here to help support and make this place better. And so obviously some of this could be helpful, and if any of you are interested, by all means, reach out.
So, what sort of partnerships or connections have you made with people in your immediate community to kind of forge those sincere relationships? I think some breweries might okay, we want to support this thing, we'll have a little fundraiser, but then it just ends there. Can you speak to some of the things that you're doing that have, you're not only doing a one-time thing, but what's kind of in the DNA of this place moving forward that really shows that you're committed to truly being a place for everyone?
Well, last Christmas we had a RESPECT market with all persons of color as the vendors at it. We're opening our tap room. We had a theater group that just came in and wanted to use our space for that. Constantly just making new connections, talking to people. We just had the Black Business Week launch here. The Andrea Jenkins and Mayor Jacob Fry were here for that launch, and we were proud to be part of that as well. So, but yeah, we're doing the best we can, and we're trying all these different partnerships. We worked with the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy. They're a group that is trying to make sure that environmentally neighborhoods with high percentages of people of color in them, they want to make sure that they're being advocated for safe places, because they tend to be, chemical dumping grounds as far as past history goes. So, that's a very important initiative. Outfront Minnesota is another organization we partner with, as well as Reclaim. So we're constantly trying to make those new connections, and obviously, as I said before, we're not trying to toot our own horn, but we're definitely
Right.
trying to walk the walk.
Right. And a lot of those, like the environmental advocacy, those are built into beers. So our Public Access was a beer that was partnered with Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy, and we're donating $1 per pint from that to them in order to clean up the north side and the river here. And then, let's see, the June was Pride Month, and we partnered with Mr. Mom and Outfront Minnesota to basically be an advocate for gay people and trans rights. And so, yeah, we're kind of building it into some of the one-offs that we're doing as well, partnering with these organizations to have the conversation about it, and then also be able to monetarily give as well to support those causes.
Yeah, and I think you have a lot of space to have events for that, and I love hearing about the different ways that you're connecting with, businesses of owners of different backgrounds and things like that. I think it's hugely important just to kind of try to connect and lift a lot of different people up. I think that in this day and age, that's what we need for sure. So it's I think I'm not gonna lie and say that I was like, okay, 56 is not an option for me anymore for a while.
You weren't alone in that. A lot of people.
Right.
We lost all of our accounts.
Yeah.
No one was going to do business with
Yep.
us. So we had to make a big change.
But I think it also it is very telling that we're sitting down here at 56 today having a conversation. I thought it was pretty telling that, at least for me, was a sign, step in the right direction at the Winter Beer Dabbler in 2021, that you were handing out your newly crafted mission statement to people. It didn't just seem like you were checking off a box of if there's a handbook, how do you get in good graces after a really appalling racial incident. It seems like there is good work being done here. It's a lot of work that needs to happen, but I guess from where I'm sitting, it seems like there is genuine and sincere desire to do better. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think that is what a lot of people want out of the places that they spend time. So
they could spend their money anywhere.
Right.
People are choosing to support our business, and hopefully we have alignment with our values as well. That's what we want to make sure people know and understand. I kept coming back to the idea that the children are watching. That's the one thing that was a constant refrain in my mind as we were going through that dark period. And I was determined not to give up, and to prove what integrity looks like in life was the biggest challenge.
Yeah. And so this community, I know you don't just do certain events like I follow you on social media. There's always something happening in the tap room. What are some things that just aren't, like specific, like one every now and again events, but like, if I live within walking distance, this could be, like a neighborhood bar, kind of like, the tavern, the public house. What types of things during the week do you have for the locals? I know that a lot of breweries do trivia, they do game nights. What are some of the things specific to 56 that you really like to do to bring in people and build that community?
Well, Mr. Mom's is a drag show that comes in, I think, twice a month now. But
with bingo, right?
Yeah, it's a meat raffle and a bingo all at once, which is awesome.
Yes,
so
meat
fun.
Raffle
Come on.
and bingo. What's not to love?
Come on down.
A drag show, all of it. Great
time. We're doing. There's like pinball tournaments we've been hosting lately.
Dart League.
There's indoor bags. Stonewall. There's a company. What is it? The organization Stonewall for the LGBTQIA community to have some indoor bags league this winter. So come out, check that out. We do the pintometer during winter as well. So the colder it gets, the cheaper the beer. And I have to cut all the firewood for that.
for outdoor beers.
That's how you stay so buff. Look at that. You're installing windows, cutting firewood.
Whatever needs to be done.
Like the move over P90X. Get on the Micah workout.
Yeah, if you're awake, you're working.
Yeah. Well, I think wintertime especially is a tough. I'm going to be honest. We're recording this on August 23rd. For better or for worse, this episode will be coming out in November because I've got a lot of episodes in the queue. When it gets into, I feel like fall is for me my optimal drinking time. It's getting cooler and crisper. I love malty beers. The fest beer I drank earlier was very good. And then in wintertime, I think I've also got this nice big 10% stout that's quite delicious as well. But I love to drink in the wintertime too, but I also don't love going outside when the wind is blowing and my eyes are freezing open. Is it a challenge, do you find, in the wintertime to get people into the tap room?
Definitely, yeah. That's why we do the pintometer and, have fire rings on our patio, which, sometimes there's 10 of them going at once. So go through a lot of firewood.
Yeah.
But last winter we had pop-up saunas out there for a couple different events.
Oh, wow.
That was awesome. There were little tents that they so yeah, we're trying to get you here. We just bought a food truck trailer, so we're going to try to get that up and running sometime soon here as well. So I got another job to throw to the mix as well.
Okay.
People seem excited too about the pintometer. It's a fun way to challenge yourself to have a beer outside when it's maybe 10 degrees. Because you got that beer for $3 or whatever it is,
Yeah. Well, then time is of the essence too, because it's
right. It's the opposite of Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? Your beer's gonna freeze.
There are some people that sit out there for hours though. You put on your snowmobile suit and nothing's getting through that thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got a nice neon orange. I'm not a hunter, but I got this on super deep discount at the Fleet Farm. That's what I wear to the Winter Dabbler. And everybody's like, "Oh, I had no problem finding you because you're burning my retinas out with this
10-mile orange."
Yeah, it's pretty great. So any excuse for me to slap that on and go have a beer, I'm all for it. So
last winter we ended up doing a promo where you bought a pint glass, or it was a big plastic tumbler. For $35, and you could use that same vessel for the entirety.
Oh, fun.
Bottomless beer. I don't know that we'll do that again, but come back and and find out for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting. I know a lot of breweries, so you have barrels, obviously, because we're in the barrel room. Is there a lot of breweries do kind of a wintertime barrel-aged release? Is that something that you guys
We do. Yeah, we do. We've been doing that on Black Friday for the past couple of years. We'll have a couple stouts that we'll be releasing that day, as well as a barrel-aged triple IPA. So,
ooh,
yeah.
That's exciting.
Probably more of a barley wine at that point. But
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which is, I like a barley
Oh,
wine,
but
too.
we've been blending a couple different types of barrels too. So there was a rum and a whiskey barrel last year that was awesome.
That was fantastic.
yeah, when they were blended together, that was super fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a lot of good things happening here, and I know that there's running a brewery is all sorts of challenges, so hopefully things continue in the right direction. I like all the things that are happening here, and so I just want to thank you both for sitting down to talk beer with me. I'm glad we're doing this indoors and not on the patio. But yeah, so thank you so much for chatting. This is this is a 1 pint stand on location at 56 Brewing. Cheers, gentlemen.
Thanks for
Cheers,
coming.
man. Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Well, we are at the close of another episode of a 1 pint stand. I really appreciate Micah and Zak taking the time to be so open and accessible about all the things that we wanted to talk about. Obviously, the racist actions of the former 56 owner are upsetting to hear about. I purposefully didn't go into the specifics of the incident during the interview because I wanted to focus on how 56 is moving forward. What I will say is that I'm friends with the person whom the racist actions were directed at. It makes my blood boil when I think about what that person has had to endure. That person is one of the kindest, most giving, loving human beings I've ever met. And to think that they had to endure such a horrific thing, it doesn't make sense to me. And it hurts. And so I think that I'm grateful to hear how immediate the staff was ready to get rid of the former owner. I also believe that 56 is a good place to visit again. I understand that there's going to be people who will never be able to go there. Obviously, that's their choice. However, I see the desire and hope that the staff have to make 56 a place for everyone. They are in it wholeheartedly. They are doing the work to make it an inclusive space, and that's really powerful, and I'm grateful for that. So, with that, this has been another episode of a 1 pint stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast where the pants stay on, but the caps come off. Cheers.
When a brewery does an event center or a quote unquote barrel room, I mean, it could be anywhere from sex dungeon to real nice event space. So I think you guys have are more towards the nice event space end of the spectrum.